Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up to become a member of the Shannons Club. Kenworth Trucks Australia. Dasmac, shipping your classic car from the world to your doorstep. And the Intershed. G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome as I bring you to the Sutherland Shire in New South Wales. You want to clap your peepers on what's going on in here? Yeah, of course. I know you do. Well, come with me in this week's Classic Restos on the road. Welcome back. Okay, let's check this out. It's a fairly unassuming factory unit, but inside here there's a small classic collection belonging to a guy by the name of Graeme Cox. What we have here is a born and bred Shire boy who had a mechanical interest many years ago, but he ended up in real estate. Due to the hours the real estate game put onto Graeme, he decided to buy a service station instead, which then set Graeme up for his own car sale yard, and his mechanical business then followed. Now that's a very quick summing up of Graeme's timeline. I guess you could say the rest is history. And here we are today. It's a great little facility showcasing some classics. But apparently there's another chapter about to start for Graeme, because pretty soon he is leaving this location.
I've been here for probably 2 years, and that'll be about it. Bought it as a man shed. It was fairly run down. We did it up. Took, I think, 4 of us 3 months, 6 days a week to do it up. I thought, this is it, I'll be here for life. So I did it the way I wanted to. However, next door neighbour had an expanding business that was demanding more time and space, and I had 9 car spaces up the top of the parking block here, which stopped his access for expanding. And he said, do you want to sell? I said, no, I don't. And I didn't do all this to want to sell in such a short period of time. So that time went on. His place became much bigger, the dust factor became much bigger, the noise was much more, not quite what I wanted. And he made me an offer and I said no, and he made me another offer and I said no. And I said a figure and I said, unless it's that figure, we won't be doing business, and I prefer to lease it out and I'll move closer to where I want to be. Anyway, so that happened, and he came back with me the next day with the offer. So off we go. The 56 Crown Vic. I'd been after one for quite some time. I used to get a lift to school in a custom line and home in a mainline ute. So I had history on these cars and I always loved them. I'd had other various cars, but I kept coming back to these. This particular gentleman in Adelaide had a Primeur for sale that we were looking at, and in the back I saw the corner of a Victoria. I rang him and I said, and what year's the Crown Victoria? He said, do you know that's what it is? I said, yeah. He said, I've got 9 of them. I said, you got 9 Victorias? He said, yeah. So I got talking to him, and over a number of years I said, can I come down and see what you've got? And I did. I flew down. He picked me up from the airport, took me to his magnificent home with magnificent cars, and saw this. And of all the cars I'd seen, this is the one that really took my fancy. It was a one-owner car that he bought out of the States, Ohio, that the gentleman had bought in 1953. I have all the documents, all the history, what the gentleman paid, what was traded in, $16 for the tinted green glass, and $28 for the self-seeking radio in 1956. And he'd been wanting to buy it because he'd bought other Victorias from the Ford Victoria director over there in America, and the old gentleman wouldn't sell until he got crook. So the wife rang him and rang the director and said, husband's 90, he's in hospital, he's not going to make it, do you want the car? So Fab from Adelaide said, yes, I'll take it. He took it and did his thing, and I ended up buying it off him. So this is the one I wanted, and I will note that is the crown. I like the crown over the top, and so I'm happy I got that. What I like about these cars, the fact that they were dressed up with stainless steel. Most people think it's chrome. It's not. It's all stainless steel. They had a style and a flair that just lit my fire. That was the sort of thing I liked, and it wasn't. Some people might say it's over the top. I just think it's just complimentary. So the motor's out of the car because it's a 292 Thunderbird with the 4-barrel carburettor. It was all original. The gentleman I bought it off in Adelaide did rebuild it, put a cam and a carburettor on it, and it was okay, but it had a serious rear main oil seal leak. So I took the motor out, gave it to a long-term engine builder person that I've used. What it's like to drive on the road. This particular car is fabulous. Because it's a one-owner car, not been restored, it's very tight. There's no rattles or squeaks in the car. We upgraded the shocks. We put a bigger sway bar on and put fuel injection, put a different diff ratio in the back so I could cruise along the highway at lower revs and not use the fuel. Terrific car to drive. I can still cruise down the highway at 120k an hour quite easily, not revving too high. It does about 2400 revs at that, where before it was doing 3200. It's just a joy, but there's not a squeak or a rattle in the car. That's the beauty of buying good original one-owner cars. So about the history on the car, the gentleman bought it in 1953 and it had minimum use. When he got to in his 70s, they took his licence off him. So apparently he wasn't allowed to drive this car, but he refused to sell it. So the story is he bought his wife a car that they ran around in over in Ohio, and he used to take this car out every day, put it in the driveway, start it up and put it away at night. That was a lovely thing because he couldn't part with it, but it did glaze up the cylinder blocks, and because it never got to temperature. So when the gentleman in Adelaide bought it, it was smoking, so hence he rebuilt the engine. But when the gentleman turned 90 and he went into a nursing home and he wasn't going to make it, that's when he got the phone call that, did you want that car? And the gentleman in Adelaide, having 9 of them, he had 8 at the time, this was his 9th one. Now that's a short history on where it came from.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannons Home and Contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannons.
Call 13 46 46 for a quote. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
And of course, if you own a classic or two, make sure they are insured with Shannons. Perhaps you're after some laid-up cover. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au and access Australia's largest automotive online hub. Back in 1958, especially here in Australia, any vehicle that could do 100 miles an hour from the factory could almost be looked upon as unbelievable. But the Ford Mainline Ute was that vehicle, capable of 160 kilometres an hour in the metric, powered by a 272 V8. And although this brilliant example here has been painted with a brush at one point, it doesn't have its 272 cubic inch engine remaining. Plus, there's also been some retro mods done as well. To tell us more, here's Graeme.
So the 1958 Ford Mainline Ute that you see here is a passion I've had since I was a kid, basically coming home from school or going to school, as I used to get a lift to school in a Star model sedan that a friend of mine's father bought off the production line, 1958, blue and white. And then on sport days from school in the Stanmore area, we used to get picked up after football training, which is normally winter and dark at night, in a Mainline Ute. I think we were 14 or 15 and the 18-year-old, our mate's older brother was driving it. And we'd have 3 or 4 in the back, 3 in the front, driving all the way home to either Sylvania or Cronulla. No one ever got hurt. But I had a passion for them, I loved them. and it was a star model like this, a 58, and it was an automatic. And so I've had various cars all my life. Did buy these different models, but basically run down and drove them around, and as time went on, other things became preference in life. Sold them all off until I sold my business, and I was looking for one of these. I'd flown to Queensland to check one out, too rusty. I flew to Melbourne to check one out, put up on a hoist, too rusty. Would nearly given up, and then I was mowing the lawn one 40-degree temperature on Sunday afternoon, and I had an alert on Gumtree about the mainline utes, and I went inside and checked it out. Gentleman had bought this, and he had a great offer to buy a business in Tasmania, so he bought it, added all bits and pieces to it, but never touched it in its natural form. So I bought it off him. History of the car was originally from Moree, south of Moree, east-west, a place called Binnagai. That's were the original owners. And how I found that out, it had the Mackay written on the side of the car in paint, because they used to carry loads and you had to have your tar weight and your tar and whatever it was. So I rang somewhere in Moree and got hold of the Mackay family. I said, you wouldn't happen to know someone who had, and the guy said, keep talking. I said, well, I've got this ute. And he said, yeah, that's my uncle's. So I couldn't believe it. I'd owned this car for maybe a couple of months, but the history got the better of me. And so I rang this guy, said, that was my uncle. His brother bought it. He had a stroke, he couldn't drive it. His uncle took it over and had been in a shed there for 25 years, undriven for 25 years. The mainline was painted, I believe, when it was in Moree with Dulux weather shield, premium paint, when it was hand painted over the whole body. This colour scheme that you see is original. It was white on the bottom and a salmon on top, but they decided to change the colour somewhat with the Dulux weather shield, and here's what we ended up with. So after having all the bodywork done, rust repairs, new seals, new bottom of the doors and so on, it was in undercoat grey and it looked quite ugly, so we painted the bottom of it to a fairly high standard, but left the top as it. I was always going to paint it. I've decided now just to leave it as it is. I have 100 comments a year say, just leave it, just leave it. So that's what we've decided to do. So the motor in this, all the mechanicals in this, was an old 272 that was beyond its use-by date. It had a 3-speed manual, had a black steering wheel. It was a poverty pack when it was new. It had no heater, no radio, no demister, no nothing. You don't get any cheaper than this. So I said, I knew what I wanted, and I bought a 2008 Ford Fairmont gear, which has got the 3-valve overhead cam motor, not the dual overhead cam, because I wanted the low-down torque of that particular motor. It's a 5.4 litre. We just had it on the dyno for the first time only weeks ago. It's got 330 odd horsepower, but a bag of torque. It's got 500 Newton metres of torque. It's got the same 6-speed ZF automatic gearbox we put in. And then we've got an XR6 Turbo Ute differential, which we had shortened. And it's got the LSD diff. I think they call it 8.5 inch. People have different opinions, but 8.5 inch LSD disc brake back. The front end is a Jaguar XJ6 with the big brakes. Because I was replacing everything, all the steering, all the rack and pinion, we put an XJ6 in there. We put the hopper stopper system, so brand new brakes, axle stubs, calipers, everything was brand new. Wasn't old and rebuilt, it was all brand new. Same with the diffs on the back. I had the brand new tail shaft made for it. We've replaced everything on the running gear as we went, because I did want to do it later. And it drives like a brand new car. And again, no squeaks, no rattles. It's super smooth on the road. Basically this car, because it's got that svelte, big body, small cabin, it's that coupe ute look about it. The history, how they looked in their day, the colour schemes they had in their day, they were a real car. It gives you a real feeling to drive, the drive, the sound, the looks you get from people all ages, and I mean all ages. I could pull into service stations and women go, wow, can I take a photo of that? Once I said, would you like me in it? She said, no thanks, I just want to take a photo of the car. And I've had lots of cars, hundreds of cars, some exotic European stuff, but this is my favourite, this is what I'm keeping, and I'm very happy.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannons understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannons. And now, so's the home.
Get a quote online or call 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Your story began in 1971. It's part of an endless tapestry that tells the story of our nation. It connects innovators to artisans, forests to houses, from the largest of operations to the smallest of outcomes. It's heritage. It's a legacy.
This 1962 EK Holden Ute, where could I go back with Holdens? Where do I start? Well, where would you like to start? It goes back a fair way. But I think my dad had a FC Holden. We used to drive down in the snow, and it used to be an 8-hour trip in those days. My brother and I would be in the mattress on the back of the car in our pyjamas driving down in the 58 FC. And I think everyone else had an FC as well. And you grow up and times move on. And I always had never had one of these really in all the cars I've had, but I admired the shape. Wasn't particularly looking for more cars because I had projects on, but found this one when it came up at the Holden Ute museum that was closing down. I saw it as a complete package because it had all the hard work done after the cars I'd been working on took so long. The wife said, you going to put a figure on it? I said, yeah, I've got a figure and I won't go past that figure. She knew it was a big fat lie, because I went well over that figure because the car just lit my fire. I just thought it had a lot going for it. And here we are today, in my possession with it. So I know what you've seen here today is the American Ford themed cars that I have. Well, I do have a soft spot for Holdens. Other cars as well, but particularly Holdens. This shape always, again with what Australians did with the utility, how they made the use of a utility and it's still a car you could drive the family to church on Sunday and drive around the farm during the week. And I think what they did was a lot of style, and they had, I think, more style in the 50s, 60s and 70s what they have in later days. And so I looked at this, I like the ergonomics inside, I love the dashboard, this has got the chrome, even though this is, again, like the Mainline, it's a poverty pack. It had no heater, no debister, no radio. This had no chrome stripes down the side. Original dashboard would have been painted grey. The instrument panel, this is chrome. It's got a few little niche things that just make it look right without being over the top. And it's a little bit understated, but you know it's different when you see it. So the ergonomics, it's got the red trim inside. That was all done when I bought it. I did put the red carpet in. I've just ordered some red seat belts for it, which we just didn't have time to put in for today. But that combination of, in my eyes, grey and the red interior, I think is wonderful. It's a very hard colour to go past as far as combinations. So again, this car is like the others you would have seen here today. Very tight, it's a very firm, tight car and drives extremely well. It's amazing how much Holden did with the budgets they had in that time, in that era, with the bright work on their cars. You know, it's around the headlights, it's the emblem on the bonnet, the chrome badging on them, the attention to detail on the grille and the bumper bar. Quite incredible with a cost-effective car in their day. I think they did an extraordinarily good job. When you look at the Holdens in the day, this model and before, the bright work, when they had the two-tone cars, they had the stainless steel, and most people say it was chrome. Well, no, it wasn't. It was stainless steel that ran down the side, and you could polish that up, but it separated the two colours and gave it that defined line. And again, with cars of the 50s and the 60s, two-tone colours were very popular. People look at them today and probably are not quite sure, but if you haven't seen one for a while, it's quite a standout. With this car, you'll see it's obvious it's not running the grey 138 old motor which they came with. It's a 186 Red Series motor with 3 triple SUs on it for performance-wise. It's very active to drive, and it's got the Tirana LSD diff with the big tyres on the back, and it's a very fun car to drive. You're not short on horsepower going up and down the road and taking off from a set of lights. Makes me think that I could lose my licence in it, but I think twice about that. So for those that don't know this model car, they were not a particularly heavy car. I think on the rego this weighs 1,020 kilograms, so it's a tonne. It's not that heavy. Probably is why the 138 motor did okay in them. But with this Red Series with plenty of horsepower, makes it a lot of fun to drive. It has been tubbed at the back. It's got some fair size rims and tyres on the back, which gives it a particular look that I like. It's not that real tough look, but it's probably that harder look. The inside of the utility where they've tubbed it, and the whole inside ute is the same quality of paint and condition inside as what the outside is. Inside and out is the same car. And as someone said, when you bought it from the Echuca auctions, they said, did you match the price that you thought you'd pay for it? I said, no. I got socially excited and went a bit over the top.
And how cool is this? You've got an industrial building, it's away from home, it's your own little man cave to do whatever you want to do in here.
That's the way I set it up, Fletch. That's the way I wanted to keep it. Luckily, the wife doesn't have a key for it.
And that's wonderful.
Yes.
How do you get away with that?
I tell lies.
What happens when you need to get fed?
I tell more lies.
There you go. I also love the contrast of vehicles that you've got here. You've got the 2 American-themed Fords, and then there's the EK Holden Ute. I think that's nice because that takes you back to your childhood, doesn't it?
That one definitely does. Yeah, it does. And I like what I've got. Sometimes you buy a car and you think, what did I buy it for? But I like all of what I've got.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting too over the years how the spotlight has moved off the high-ticket cars? Once upon a time, it had to be a GT Falcon, it had to be a Monaro, it had to be an E49 Charger. But now, over all these years, we see collections, the more humble type, basic cars of the day, and now just as collectible, and wow, that's what it's all about, preserving those.
I can go to a car show and I go through lots of them, and I can see those Chargers and XU1s and GT Falcons everywhere. I admire them, but they're there.
Yeah.
I don't see as many as these.
It's also interesting too, you see the car that's had the expensive paint job roll onto the field, and then a car pulls in out of a barn or out of a shed and it's got its faded paint in original condition, and the crowd, they kind of just transform from that to the old looking car.
It's nearly the way the appreciation's gone.
It is.
There's been a bit of a U-curve there.
Yeah. I'd also like to thank you for your time here today, and an opportunity before you get out of here, right? Are you gonna miss the place?
I think I will, because I put so much effort and so much blood into it, but you know, we move forward to another factory of similar size, different shape but similar size, and I've got, so I've done one of these before. This will be version 3.
Yep.
We'll see how we go.
Good on you. Well done. On that note, we are out of time for this week's show. So no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, until next week, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch.
I'm Graeme.
Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.
Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons. Sign up to become a member of the Shannons Club. Kenworth Trucks Australia. Dasmac, shipping your classic car from the world to your doorstep. And the Intershed.